Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to a very windy Scarborough beach. The audio quality of this one's going to be pretty terrible, I'm going to warn you straight away, but hopefully the message is going to be worth it. The older I get, the more I see that life is a game of contrasts. And I'm going to make this message short because I want to get on with my day. I'm kind of having the day off, which ties nicely into today's point. Just walking along the beach. So I feel like life is a game of contrasts. I feel like deep down we all know this, but I feel like we don't actually apply this and actually understand how this affects our personal lives. When I talk about contrast, I mean different factors, different elements of life. And as I say, the older I get, the more I understand this, due to compounding factors amongst other things. I'm just going to show you guys some of the formations of rocks and other interesting things like this purple. I don't know if it comes across too well on the camera. Anyway, life is a game of contrasts. I want to bring us all back to childhood for this message. Now just have a think about what childhood looked like for you. Now for most people, I would like to hope that their childhood looks quite different to their adult life. As life in itself is a game of, I guess, evolution, personally. So naturally we have this evolution. Coming into an adult, I've realised that in my life, I can have a lot more fun right now. So due to obviously my business and money and free time and confidence, I'm able to do things like this. On a random Tuesday, I can head off to the beach. I can go and have some fish and chips and have a day doing what I please. Of course, there is an element of money involved to that, but again, you have a lot more control over your life coming into being an adult. As you grow up, this control and this, I suppose, excitement can grow if you lived correctly. However, for most people, it tends to shrink, and most people's evolution might stop after college or university. I'm sure you've all heard of the phrase high risk, high rewards, and to an element, I think that's what life is, so that's what I'm starting to understand. When I talk about my business here on YouTube, I get two types of people who comment underneath my videos. And you know what? I respect both. I see myself to be an open-minded person, so I can respect different opinions, even if they completely contradict mine, as long as they're displayed in a polite way. One thing that I get told all the time is that running a business is risky. I completely agree. Over the past year or so, as I've started to develop my business to something which is less of a, I guess you could say, less of enough money to live on as a child, and more of looking towards having a very luxurious adult life, which is going to cost me a lot of money, I start to evolve this understanding more and more. Whether it's managing the books, managing taxes, managing expenses, keeping the business up and running. Running a business is a game of challenges every day. But here's the contradiction, the contrast perhaps. The bad times that I face in, I suppose you could say, the work-related environment, that's to say, running my business, are probably worse than a lot of people's 9-to-5 issues. You can lose money sometimes quite a lot of money, in the hundreds, maybe thousands of pounds in a short period of time, let's say. I could go on. You guys all know business-related risks, right? It's kind of common sense at this point. So I don't need to do that. But here's the thing, though. And here's where the contrast of life comes in. I know I'm kind of going on a bit of a sporadic point here, but I find this to be true, and I suppose it's days like this which remind me of it. The contrast of life is this. Whilst my challenges might be more challenging than most people's, or most young people's, right? And I mean that in terms of actual what you have to manage, not the way I perceive it, because that is a big factor in a lot of things. The rewards that I can receive through my lifestyle, I believe, couldn't be beaten. You guys know, because I spoke about it a couple of days ago. I've just come back about a week or two ago from my solo travel trip around Europe. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was amazing. Now here's the thing. Who do I need to go to for time off? Nobody. Who do I need to help me to book it? Nobody. Pay? I can earn money whilst I'm away. Now I know holiday pay is a thing with a job, but I think you guys kind of get the path that I'm going on. And I look to the amount that I can earn in my businesses and the amount that I do earn. We're not talking about concepts here, right? We're talking about proven facts. I don't know why it looks like that, but it's really quite nice. Anyway, proven facts. So the amount that I can earn in my business, obviously it varies from month to month, allows me to facilitate a lifestyle which couldn't have been done through most jobs. I don't know many 21-year-olds who can, if they have a full-time job, just take time off randomly, just explore and have the money to do so. You know, I'm not saying that this is the pinnacle of life, but I think most of my young audience, at least, and a lot of my older audience understand that for most people, if you're in an average job, work is not going to be the pinnacle of your life either. It's where you go to make money, and that's really about it. Tying this all back together, as I always like to do, what I'm saying here is actually quite simple. You kind of get in what you put out. Not always. Risk is always involved. Risk is always a factor in anything in life. And of course, different things have different risk levels. But most people don't do an appropriate risk assessment. You see, look, let's talk business for a second. Most businesses will fail. There's even statistically, there's a very high likelihood that my businesses will fail. And of course, I'm going to speak about this in another video. I think it's not the end of the world. I feel like if you're enough of an entrepreneurial mind, you will be able to move on to the next thing. And if you're smart enough with your finances, you'll have enough cash saved to have other income streams, or at least, at the very, just slipped over there, at the very least, enough money to perhaps coast on for a couple of months, maybe years, you know? So, there's different sides to every argument. But continuing briefly on my point about highs and lows and risk and reward, living a very low-risk life is going to give you very relatively low risk returns. We understand this with concepts like investing, but not with the concept, or perhaps the true reality, of our own life. When you're a business owner, say, you risk a lot of money, you risk a lot of time. If it all fails halfway through, you could be left with nothing, no experience, no money. You've lost or you've missed out on everything that you could have had. Are there advantages of a job? Yeah, of course there are. Obviously there is. Is it the best path for most people? Honestly, I think yes. Weighing up all of the options in real terms, though, I want to mention this, I suppose you could say, closing fact. Oh, it's all seaweed. I'm not going on there. We'll turn back. But what I'm going to say is this one money-oriented fact, which is this, right? If you're a money person and you want to make some decent money, you want to have the life, as it's called, think about the risk and reward factors and weigh them up in your own life. If we talk about a business, look, there's a high likelihood, I would say there's even a certainty, that at least, wet feet. This is a very unprofessional video, but hey, this is my personal channel, right? I've got my professional YouTube channels, this is my personal one, so I'm not too bothered. Weigh up your risks, is what I'm going to say. And thinking about that in a bit more detail, right? A business is going to come with a lot more stresses. It's going to come with a lot more problems. Even if it goes successfully, you're going to have to do things and waste time or use time that your 9-to-5 friend counterparts will get to chill. But as a direct contrast or counter argument to putting in so much time, your highs could be higher. Like I say, days off perhaps when you want. Being able to afford cars that you could never afford if you worked a traditional job, let's say. Free time. Holidays. I don't know, guys. It's obviously going to be very subjective as to what you want. But I just sat here today and I thought, yeah, it didn't matter. It doesn't really matter what kind of job it was or is. There's very few jobs that would facilitate any of the things that I'm looking towards. Does that mean I won't work a job ever again? No. At the minute, as a 21-year-old, I would like to have another job at some point soon. And a lot of my long-term viewers might be thinking, well, you said that you hated your last job. And that is true. That's actually part of the reason why I want another one. Because I want that extra struggle. I want that extra, I guess, challenge. So that's kind of my approach to it. But going back to the whole risk argument, which is my main point for this video. Look, if you don't risk anything, that's cool, that's fine. If you do risk stuff, you always have the potential of losing. Maybe, again, you'll lose time. Maybe you'll lose money. Maybe you'll lose... it depends. You can think of all the variables you like. Maybe you'll lose. Probably at some point, you inevitably will. You can recover from that, probably. But this is my main argument. The higher the high, the lower the low. And especially when you come from perhaps a working class background like I do, or anything like that, this is exceptionally true to you. There are no handouts, there is no help. YouTube and other content platforms make it easier. For example, I've learned how to resell on eBay. If you want to learn how to resell on eBay, you can buy my course, link in my bio. And I'll teach you how to do everything that I do. But as a general point of argument, right, besides maybe upskilling yourself through education and courses, there's no one coming to help you. So you're going to have to go from being, say, a 9-to-5-er or something like that, you're going to have to take extra risks. There's going to be times where you're going to have to invest money, risk money, times where you're going to have to, I don't know, waste time, 10-hour working days. You know, I've been there, right? You go to work, you come home, you work in your business and so on. It's just the reality of this stage of your life. I'm not saying it's the most intensive, it could be a lot worse. I am saying it's a reality though. But as a direct relation to that point, now I am living a lifestyle after, let's be honest, I've been doing different businesses since about age 13. They only really started to take off after about age 17. So I've got some savings, I've wasted some savings, I've lost some savings, I've got some skills, I've got some transferable skills, some transferable businesses. So realistically, we're talking maybe 3-4 years worth of experience, not even savings really, to be honest with you. 3-4 years worth of experience. And now already, I could start my businesses over again. My friends wonder, my I guess you could say lesser friends that I don't really spend as much time with and I don't really speak to about such detailed subjects. How do you afford all of this stuff? They wonder. How are you able to go to these places? What do you do? Rich parents? No, that couldn't be further from the truth. Imagine in 5-10 years, if you keep grinding, what things could look like, right? That's what I'm imagining as I speak to you guys now. And it's funny because I've taken a day kind of off. I've done some work this morning, but I've taken the afternoon off for sure. And I'm doing something which I don't think a lot of people do, and that's not even the walk. I'm thinking to myself about personal things. I'm being present. I'm being, what's the word? Reflective. And, you know, I read an interesting thing the other day. Whether it's true or not, I'm not sure. It was something like 60-70% of people are afraid to be left with their own thoughts. Now, that to me is worrying, because I love thinking to myself. I don't just think about, obviously, business and money. I think about everything. Think about everything you can imagine to do with personal life. My life as a whole, what is life? And I know I'm going really to the absolute deep end of things now, but what I'm saying is this, just to kind of tie this video all back together. I might film another one actually today, because I've got a message, but I don't want to... I want to make a video that people are going to engage with. And I suppose if I talk about all different topics at once, only my core fans are going to watch it. So, yeah, I guess my point is this, to just conclude the video. You risk more as someone trying to formulate your life that you want. But taking such a low risk life is never going to get you to the milestones, right? It's never going to give you all of your time back. It's never going to give you the car that you want, probably. Maybe it will after 40-50 years, but try wanting it then, right? I'm not saying that I'm going to achieve any of the things that I speak about in life. I personally really do think I do. That I will. When you open yourself to an audience this large, and I know it's only a couple of thousand people, but you know, how many people have 1,000 or so people commenting on their life frequently? So it is actually quite large when you view it like that. You get people who are doubters, naysayers, and even haters from time to time. I'm not bothered. And I'm not deluded either. I understand that this business game is an all or nothing. You've either got it all to lose or it all to win. But that's kind of the very essence of this message. You pick where you want to be, don't you, really? And like I say, I think the example is the higher the high, the lower the low. You want to be sat in, I don't know, certain location in certain type of car. Well, are you willing to do the work that earns that? I'm going to finish it there, guys. Thank you for joining me on this windy day. Apologies again for the audio quality. I hope I'll see you soon, though. Goodbye.